The invitation arrived on a quiet afternoon, folded neatly inside a pale blue envelope that felt heavier than paper should. The name on it belonged to someone from a life I had tried, unsuccessfully, to leave behind. The moment I realized whose birthday it was, my chest tightened, because some doors, once opened, never truly close. Walking into that house meant walking back into grief, guilt, and a love I never allowed myself to name. And yet, something inside me whispered that this night would change everything. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when broken hearts dare to show up again, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach people who may need them most. My name is Daniel Carter, and I am a younger brother who survived when his older brother did not. Matthew was everything I was not. Steady, warm, the kind of man who remembered birthdays and showed up early. When he died in a car accident 5 years ago, the world did not just lose him. It lost its balance. His wife, Emily, became a widow at 32, and I became a ghost who could not step into family gatherings without feeling like an intruder. For years, I stayed away, convincing myself that distance was respect. In truth, it was fear. Fear of grief, fear of comparison, and fear of a feeling I had buried so deep I barely admitted it to myself. Emily's birthday invitation was simple, almost gentle, no pressure, no expectations, just a gathering of friends and family, a chance to celebrate life. I read it again and again, my hands trembling because her name still carried Matthew's shadow. I remembered her laughter from long ago, the way she used to listen as if the whole world paused when someone spoke. Back then, I had admired her from a safe distance, the way one admires a sunset without thinking of ownership, or so I told myself. On the day of the party, the sky was overcast, the kind of gray that made the world feel honest. I drove to the old neighborhood where Matthew and Emily had built their life, passing familiar streets that stirred memories I had tried to forget. The house looked the same from the outside, white siding, a small porch with a wooden swing. But stepping inside felt like crossing a line I had drawn years ago. The scent of vanilla and coffee wrapped around me, warm and inviting, clashing with the tension in my chest. Friends greeted me kindly, some surprised to see me, others offering quiet smiles that said they understood more than words ever could. I noticed how Emily had changed, not in appearance so much as presence. There was a strength in her now, something forged by loss and endurance. She moved through the room with grace, thanking guests, laughing softly, carrying her grief like a well-worn coat she had learned to live with. Watching her from across the room, I felt that old ache return, sharper than before. The hardest part was the memories. Every corner of the house whispered Matthew's name. The bookshelf he built, the framed photos of trips they took together, the kitchen table where we once argued about baseball. I felt like a trespasser in a sacred space, unsure where I belonged. More than once, I considered slipping out quietly, leaving the gift on the table and disappearing back into my safe, lonely routine. But something kept me rooted there, as if fate itself had a hand on my shoulder. As the evening unfolded, conversation softened, laughter grew easier, and the weight in my chest shifted. I helped in the kitchen, carried plates, listened to stories about Emily's work at the community center and how she had been mentoring kids who reminded her of resilience she once thought she lacked. I saw how she had rebuilt her life piece by piece, not erasing Matthew, but learning to live alongside his absence. And in that space, something unexpected stirred, hope mixed with guilt, warmth tangled with fear. When the cake was cut and candles blown out, there was a quiet moment, a pause where everyone seemed to breathe at the same time. Emily's eyes met mine across the room, and for a second, the noise faded. It felt like standing at the edge of a confession neither of us had planned. Later, when the guests began to leave and the house grew quieter, we found ourselves sitting in the living room surrounded by the echoes of a life once shared and a future uncertain. It was then that the truth surfaced, not as a dramatic outburst, but as a fragile honesty that had waited years for the right moment. Emily admitted that her feelings toward me had existed long before tragedy reshaped our lives. She spoke of how confusing it had been, how she buried those emotions out of loyalty and love for Matthew, and how grief had only complicated everything further. Hearing this felt like the ground shifting beneath my feet. I was overwhelmed by conflicting emotions, shock, sorrow, relief, and a sense of being seen in a way I never expected. I struggled deeply with what it meant. Loving the woman my brother loved felt like a betrayal written into my bones. I questioned my own intentions, wondering if this connection was born of shared grief rather than genuine affection. For nights afterward, I barely slept, replaying memories, searching my heart for answers. I spoke to my pastor, spent long hours in prayer, and walked alone through parks where the weight of my thoughts felt almost physical. The challenge was not just choosing love, but choosing it without dishonoring the past. What slowly changed everything was understanding that love does not erase what came before, it builds upon it. Emily and I did not rush into anything. We talked, carefully and honestly, acknowledging Matthew's place in our lives and the pain that would always exist. We allowed ourselves to be human, imperfect, cautious, and hopeful all at once. In that space, something new began to grow, something rooted not in replacement, but in respect. As months passed, I saw how healing could look like courage rather than forgetting. Emily continued to honor Matthew's memory, and I learned to stop measuring myself against him. I realized that my brother would not want either of us to live trapped in sorrow. The guilt that once crushed me softened into gratitude for the love Matthew and Emily shared, and for the chance to build something meaningful without pretending the past never happened. Now, standing on the other side of that night, I understand why the invitation felt so heavy. It was not just a birthday party, it was a crossroads. Attending meant facing my fears, my grief, and my heart. It meant accepting that life, even after devastating loss, still offers unexpected grace. If this story has touched your heart so far, please pause for a moment and share your feelings in the comments. Let us know what this story made you think about. Love, loss, forgiveness, or second chances. Your words may help someone else feel less alone. Near the end of the journey, I can say this: love does not always arrive clean and simple. Sometimes it comes wrapped in sorrow, asking us to be brave enough to unwrap it anyway. Emily and I did not find happiness by forgetting the past, but by honoring it and choosing to move forward with humility and faith. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you feel something deep inside, please like the video, comment from your heart, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement keeps these stories alive and reminds us all that healing is possible, even when the path is complicated.